before we can do the compression test, I've got to run it up to temperature, and before I run it up to temperature, I've got to start it. So it almost started first time, which is a bit of a miracle in itself because it's in a bit of a rough state at the moment, much like myself. So we're just going to let it run up to temperature and then we can do the test. And while we're waiting for the engine to warm up, I'm just going to tell you about the cheap compression tester that I bought from Amazon. It's a digital one. It seems to be pretty well made for the cost. I can get away with a cheap one on this job because, well, I'm going to do a full strip down on the engine anyway. I know there's a problem, and it's really just an indicator of where the problem is rather than how accurate I need that problem to be, if it makes sense. So it was £25, about $30 thereabouts, and I've already gone ahead and put the correct adapter on the hose, and I've also bought a magnetic spark plug socket because I've been using the ones with the rubber inserts, and the rubber keeps coming off and it keeps getting left behind down on the plug there. So magnetic spark plug socket is the way to go. The engine's up to temp, and before I start pulling out these spark plugs, I'm going to pull the leads and just blow out with a bit of compressed air down the tubes to get all the crud and the grit out. So when I take the spark plug out, I'm not pushing all that into my engine. If you haven't got compressed air, just try and be careful. Oh, and the other thing is we've got to take out the fuel pump fuse so that when we crank the engine, we're not putting fuel into the engine. So I'll show you that now, and I'll do this off camera, save your ears. So on a right-hand drive Mark IV Golf, your fuel pump fuse is towards the front of the car, and it's the middle of these three 15 amp blue fuses. If I can get hold of it. There we go. So we're just going to crank the engine a few times, run off the fuel in the system, and then we are good to start. So I'm going to turn it over now and run the fuel off in the system. Didn't take long. So I'm going to take you through the process I use for doing one cylinder, and then I'm going to repeat that process across the rest of them. I'm not going to film the whole thing, I'll just show you on one, or else the video is going to be really long. But the first thing I'm going to do is pull the plug lead off, and I have a rag there just for like an isolator, just to keep it off any metal while we do the test. And I'm going to take this plug out really carefully. Now I've already had a look at these plugs a while back, and it's not good news. I've got like a global overfueling issue, and all the plugs are black and sooty and really dry. And having the engine running just now, you can smell how rich it's running. So I'll just show you one plug, if I can get it to focus. But they're all the same, pretty much. I think there's one of them, I think the last cylinder's pretty good, but they're all the same. So let's put the compression tester in. Let's just put that to one side. One thing to be aware of is these adapters can come off in the threads of your spark plug. So I've actually Loctited that on to make sure it comes back out with me with the hose. Let's just take the head of it off, make it a bit easier. You don't want to do these up too tight because you won't get it back out again. So that's just finger tight. Put the head back on. Turn it on. And I'm going to start the, well, not start the engine, but crank the engine and get a reading. So let me just take you off the tripod and get you in a bit nearer. So I'm running at 103, which is a little low. So I'm going to jot that down and repeat the process across the other 5 cylinders. Number 2 is 98 and a bit. Number 3 is 112. Number 4, 120. Number 5, 109. And finally, number 6, 118. Just as the rain starts. So none of those figures were particularly promising. Not really surprised. I knew there was an issue there, and it's not a massive problem because I was going to take the engine out anyway. But now at least I know what I'm getting into. So the next car video on the channel will be hopefully me taking the head off this thing, which should be fun. I've got a few Fresco and Procreate videos to do before then, and don't forget I'm always on the lookout for viewers' cars to base tutorials and little art projects on. So if you are interested in seeing one of your cars in one of my videos, just drop a comment and get in touch and we'll go from there. See you in the next one.